Welcome back, guys. This is the Mashup Movie Talk. So we took a break last week for, July 4th, and hopefully you guys missed us because we miss you. And, of course, Keanu is here with me. So we're back on the ball. Back on the ball. So, we actually want to do an episode just about reviews. So mainly Keanu and I actually saw Spider-Man Far From Home together. And then we also watched Stranger Things over the past weekend. And I already watched it twice. To be honest.
You did?
Yeah.
I saw parts of it twice. I saw the first episode and the last episode twice.
Yeah, because last episode definitely watched that. But my second watch of it was kind of having it as background sound, but half focusing.
Yeah,
so,
I got you. Yeah.
Just to really, especially since we're doing a review, to really marinate and pick on the little things, especially the last episode, what's happening and what could happen. But listen, we're gonna start this episode with Far From Home, and we will have a timestamp for spoilers. So please refer to the description. But if you don't refer to it, I'll still make an announcement when we're gonna hit spoiler territory. But Keanu, what'd you think about Spider-Man?
Spoilers, nah.
Right away.
I loved it. Definitely, easily enjoyed it more than Homecoming.
Yes.
Me personally. Mm-hmm. And then which again also kind of is an obvious thing to say, liked it more than Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Obviously liked it more than Spider-Man 3. So for me, I had a great time with it, and it's up there with Spider-Man 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to rewatch Spider-Man 1 and 2 because it's been a bit before I can definitely place it on that spectrum, but it's up there with Spider-Man 1 and 2 for me. I really love the film. I loved a lot of things about it. And as you know, we came out of it and we were just that was awesome.
Yeah, because I remember when we finished, I was like, damn, that was really good. And I was smiling because I had to let it sit in, and I'm like, after okay, Tom Holland's been Spider-Man for 2 movies and then a bunch of cameos in other films, but I think this was the definitive okay, he's Spider-Man, for me personally. And if you're comparing it to Spider-Man 1 and 2, I agree, you should rewatch them because those movies were made in different times, you know what I mean, different themes, and it was in a different era. But I definitely agree that it's better than Homecoming, and oh man, I don't want to hit spoilers right away, but it was so good. It was so good. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. So I guess to make sure we don't hit spoilers just yet, there's some things I want to point out that just were done really well. At first glance, on first viewing, I felt like the pacing was done really well. I felt like I was watching the film, and it felt, because it wasn't longer than Endgame, but it almost felt as filling as Endgame. I just felt like the pacing was done really well in that, as I got to the third act, I was like, ooh, I want to see more. I want to see what happens in this third act, as opposed to, oh, okay, finally we're at the third act. Finally, stuff is moving. So I really enjoyed, the pacing of the film. Everyone's acting was really on point. Like you said, this solidified Tom Holland as Spider-Man for me as well. I never really had a doubt, but this definitely helped to make the role his own. I also thought, Ned was hilarious. He's any scene he was in, he stole it. I definitely enjoy their dynamic, regardless of the fact that he's basically Genki from the Ultimate Comics.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy this fresh take on Spider-Man. I enjoy some of the changes that they made. I would love to see characters like Harry Osborn later on down the line, but right now, because we have seen so many Spider-Man films, I enjoy their version of MJ, their version of Spider-Man's friend in high school. So pacing, the acting, visual effects were fantastic. Visually,
yes.
It was very on point. A lot of Marvel movies recently have been getting some flack for being CGI heavy, and some of it not being all the way polished. Some people say that about Black Panther, about a couple of other recent Marvel films. But I mean, at least in my eyes, from my viewing, Mysterio was, what he was doing in the film was brought visually, was brought to life visually in a very, very cool, very interesting manner. So, just some of those key points of the film that as a film, it really it hit home that I really enjoyed.
No, I'm in complete agreement, but I want to emphasize on MJ, because like when they hired Zendaya to play MJ, I was like, okay, like I'm cool with it, like whatever. You know, Peter's from Queens, and like a modern day Queens is like hella mixed, so I'm like, okay, she's fine. And then, but then like in the first movie, they didn't really give her a lot, so I'm like, okay, like I need to see some more. And now that I see her in like after this movie, I'm like, okay, I love this girl, and like her chemistry with Peter, it's just so awkward, and it's like a new thing, like so different from like the comic books and the like original lore of like what MJ is and what Peter and MJ are. Ned definitely was like very funny because our theater was cracking up. You know, all the jokes were hitting.
Oh my God, I was cracking up during that film. I laughed so much. There was so many parts where I was like, "Yo, this isn't just like a quip. Like this is legit funny."
Like you were cackling like next to
Oh
me.
my God, yeah,
Like
dude, I was cracking up.
we were probably neck and neck, but like you were definitely cackling a little bit more than me. Like it was,
Yeah, I was cracking up,
you know what
man.
I mean? Like and like it was funny because we picked up the like this is how you know we're friends. Like we picked up the small little notions and like the movements and like the references, and we're like, yo,
Yeah,
like, we're the only ones like bugging out, and no one's like
yeah.
only a couple people are bugging out, but like. I kept telling you this after the movie. I was like, yeah, Mysterio was on point because I was like,
Oh my God,
if you
yeah.
knew who he is and his powers, I'll save what I'm gonna say to the spoilers. But like, I was just worried like, how are they gonna do it? Because he's like, a visual effects guy. I was like,
Mhm.
but the way they did it, Jake Gyllenhaal was like great for the role. He did what he did his job like he always does, and the movie really. I think it was the perfect movie to really end on a good note for the phase three, especially how much of a Debbie Downer it was for Endgame.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like sad wise, like not as in quality of the movie, but like it being sad. Um, but yeah, I mean, the only thing I had only gripe was like the continuous references to Iron Man. But you did say no, but you did prove a point. You're like, yo, if he really did exist in like real life, he would be like everywhere. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But there was just like moments I was just like, okay, I get it. I get like this is Spider-Man's film. Like let him shine. You know,
Right,
that
right.
was like my only gripe. But yeah, pacing was really well. I didn't look at my. Okay, so I had to go to the shore after the movie. So I did look at my phone because I had to like meet up with my aunt, but like but I was entertained. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have something to do after, I wouldn't have been looking at my phone.
Right, right,
You
right.
know, and this movie does connect to like the whole MCU as a whole, and in such a crazy way that it made me go back to old movies to like watch some clips and stuff and
Yeah, yeah.
confirm some stuff. But like I said, like just to say what you said, I think yeah, it's definitely in the top three Spider-Man movies. Let's just Harry Potter the shit out of this character, especially Tom Holland. I think that's like the new saying because they got him so young, and I think it's a little too early for Venom, and maybe a little too. Maybe one more movie before like Green Goblin and stuff because I feel like they still need to establish like Oscorp and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I give it like a 9 out of 10. I liked it.
Yeah,
Like
I give it the same score. I really enjoyed it.
and like the RPX was killing it,
Yeah, dude. Sometimes
dude.
sometimes I go to RPX and I'm like, I either leave it like, I mean, I didn't have to pay for that, or I'm like, okay, that
Really?
was like a lot, but it was really optimized really well, and I really enjoyed the RPX in this instance.
Yeah, because before the movie even started, I was like, God damn, the bass is so loud, and I was worried it was gonna be like
Too much.
too much. Yeah, I was like, the previews are like crazy loud right now, and then they topped it off like in the best way possible, and I think like this type of movie is it's such a popcorn flick and a perfect summer movie, and I mean this in the best way. Yeah, I mean it's like it's not like you're turning your brain off, but it's
Hmm.
like it's just fun. That's all it
Hmm.
is, and
Hmm.
it was perfect timing for July 4th.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to see where did we start for phase three? Because I'm trying to think of like all the movies in this phase. That's pretty
Face.
tough to think.
It's
I don't know. I don't even
yeah,
know.
I'm
I'm
trying to
trying to
remember now,
think.
dude.
I don't even know what started it, to be honest. Was it Guardians 2?
Was
I
it?
don't, I don't know.
I'm looking it up real quick because there's no way for me to. I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
say,
can't think.
I think it's officially Civil War. I was gonna say Civil War. I think it's Civil War.
Okay, I could take that. But like you, even if you're still looking it up, like to add on to the CGI stuff, like yeah, Black Panther was definitely one of those. Infinity War. Remember when Banner came out of the Hulkbuster? He's like, ah ha ha, you guys are screwed
Yeah,
now. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
that was so bad. Like it was insane. But yeah, out of Phase 3, I don't know where this stands because it does Spider-Man so well because Spider-Man's popular because he's relatable. You know, like he's just a
Yep,
kid
yep.
trying to enjoy his life, and they really did show like him balancing his duty and his like his personal life and the sacrifices he had to make. So I mean, it blows out the Andrew Garfield stuff.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, I just thought Garfield's interpretation he was great, but he was a little bit too cool for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot. Like my best friend says that all the time. He's like, yeah, he was like too cool. Like he was like
Yeah.
way too like popular. Like he looked like the Steve Harrington of his school.
Yeah, no, pretty much with this nice hair. And I'm like, dude, how is this kid a nerd? He'd probably be macking on all these girls. Like, it's like it's not realistic. And Tom Holland, like, not the no homo though, but like he's a decent guy, but like he's not like absurdly like good looking, you know?
Right. He walks that fine line of being like he pulls off nerdy, but then if he also was just so upstunting, you'd be like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, yeah. If you stunting hard, it'd be achieved. But you ready to hit spoilers? Because I think I think it's like this is the non spoilers just hitting me back.
Yeah.
Um,
Before we, I think I can say this as a non-spoiler. Before we hit that, just to really quick circle back to what you said about MJ.
mhm.
I really like what this franchise I do in the long run. I like what the franchise has done so far in casting her as Michelle, but not as casting her as MJ, but not Mary Jane, and instead being
Yeah.
Michelle.
Hmm.
Because she is MJ in the sense that she is Spider-Man's like, so far he sees Spider-Man's love, sees Spider-Man's, like goal in life. They seem to have like a real great chemistry together, and that's kind of like what you think of with Spider-Man and MJ. But at the same time, MJ or Mary Jane Watson is defined as like this super banging redhead model,
Yep.
super like full like sure of herself, like you just hit the jackpot tiger, like she's so
Hmm.
full of like not full, I'm sorry, she's very confident in herself.
Yeah.
And obviously in this film, and Michelle MJ, she's not like that. So I really now that seeing this the last film and this one, like you said, where she has more to do, I appreciate the fact that she was cast as Michelle, and also has a nickname of MJ because although they call her MJ, at the end of the day, she's not Mary Jane Watson. She's a different character.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm ready to jump into spoilers if you are.
All right, guys, we're gonna do spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. J. Jonah
Mysterio's back.
Jameson. We just yelled something at the same time. I said J. Jonah.
Oh, dude, with that. Okay, so like, I feel like this film's after credits is
Godlike.
up there with
Godlike.
like the original Iron Man with Samuel
Iron
Jackson
Man,
coming
yup.
out.
Dude,
Like these mid credits and end credits are just
but they're not just
bonkers.
credit scenes. They're like actual endings. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? If you
yeah,
miss the mid credit scene, you're gonna walk into the next movie and be like, "What the fuck happened? Why is he like the
yeah,
Batman getting
yep,
chased right now?" But that's the
yep.
thing. What threw me off was like, okay, this is uncharted territory. So the only time Peter's revealed his identity was in Civil War in the comics, and I'm like, all right, we're already gonna jump the gun now in movie 2, and MJ knows his identity. So it's like, okay, Marvel, you got balls, but like, I trust you, you know? Like, where does it go from here? Like, I feel like my brother was like talking to me about it. He's like, yo, they could easily fix this and have like Nick Fury making an announcement like, yo, fuck Mysterio. He's a liar. And just be
Yeah, I
like,
mean, you're not wrong. And like moving into the second post credit scene.
Yeah.
I mean, since Nick is so tight with Talos and the Skrulls, he
So
literally could just be
tight.
like, come out as Peter, like shapeshift into Peter, and then have Peter, real Peter in a costume swing by on the
Yes.
news, and it's like, oh wait, that's not him. He's
Yeah.
he's showing like the whole like, oh, I'm not saying I'm Batman, but you haven't seen me in the same room as Batman. Like, okay, well, we see him in the same room as Peter, so I guess that's not him.
Wow, that's very smart. Wow. Yeah, it could be an easy fix like that. And what threw me off though, I mean, besides J. Jonah Jameson being there, like that was cool because it was like a modern take. It wouldn't be a
Oh
newspaper
yeah,
company. It's like it's like the Young Turks. It's like a young like online YouTube like channel type of thing. But when you said sword with like Talos in them, I was like, oh my god, Captain Marvel. Like I was just like, oh my god. And then like I was thinking like, how long has Nick been setting this shit up?
yeah, that's
Especially
yeah,
post Endgame,
yeah.
like what's the time period on this stuff? And that's what knocked me off my feet after the movie. Because when we were leaving the theater, I was kind of like bogulated, and I was because I needed to process. I was like, wow, like I'm Marvel still has it. Like
Oh yeah,
even
definitely.
even coming off of Endgame, like I was just like, oh, okay, I'm ready for this next phase, but like we won't hear about it till like Comic Con. So, um, but Mysterio killed it. His powers referencing back to the barf technology, which was insane. And the thing I said earlier, like me going back to clips, I went back to Iron Man 1 where he's like, Tony Stark made that with a bunch of scraps in a cave.
Yeah, yeah, right.
And he's like, I'm not Tony Stark. Like, oh man, this is how you know
So
it's the
what that was
MCU.
that was the same guy, right? Because
It
I
was
didn't
the
go back.
same guy. Yeah,
'Cause
it,
I
it
didn't
was the
go
same
back, so
dude.
they could have been lying to me for all I know.
Yeah. But no, I looked it up and I watched the clip. It's the same exact guy. I'm like, wow,
That's
they definitely
crazy.
hit him up like 10 years later. Like, we'll call it, we'll call you, like stay
That's
alive.
I'm just like imagining like the guy like going to barbecues and be like, "Yo, you remember Iron Man, the movie that set off the MCU? I was in that," and
Yeah.
like saying that for years, and then like out of nowhere being like, "Yo, I'm also in the next one." Like
Yeah.
came out of nowhere with that. Um, I One thing I thought of, which to kind of like fine tune your one like kind of gripe, which is a whole like it's like it was a little heavy on Iron Man.
Hmm.
I feel like it also feels that way because the last one was so heavy on Iron Man, and
That's
I
true.
like the way it was done so much in this film that I wish in the last film
They
it
didn't.
was it didn't like so
Yeah.
like the like my one gripe going off of yours is like the fact that two of Spider-Man's main rogues are straight up caused by Iron Man, right? And it's like it's so smart and it's such a great world building experiment in the long run, but at the same time it's Spider-Man, so you kind of it's like okay, but I want Spider-Man to build up his own rogues gallery. So like, and I just feel like if they just would have had, it was smart how they did it with the
Gyllenhaal.
Vulture, the
Oh yeah,
Vulture.
Vulture. Yeah.
Like that was smart how they did it, but at the same time, because they did it in this one as well, it feels a little cheap. Whereas if they would have just, I mean, they could have just did anything. Like they could just said like, oh, the Vulture like lost his job, and or Spider-Man cleaned up the town, and he lost all these parts and all that. Like I just feel like your notice about like it being too much Iron Man, I feel like that we feel that way because the last one was so Iron Man heavy, and you can't get rid of Iron Man from the first one because then Spider-Man wouldn't have this relationship that's so important. Like I enjoy that aspect, but I definitely agree that they could have toned it down. I think it would have been in the long run would have been better for them to tone it down in the first one.
Hmm.
Um, and especially with Vulture, have Vulture be his own villain without being caused by Stark's own actions, because then in this one it would have been a little bit more like like because the barf technology like was such a genius because it was right in front of our faces, like
Yeah.
that was introduced in
Civil War.
Civil War,
Yeah.
and that was right in front of our faces, and like you like you said, we were literally thinking like, okay, he's a visual effects guy, like everything's a scam, like how are they gonna do that in modern day? And it's like, yo, they set this up like 3, 4, 5 movies ago, and it works perfect. Like the technology works perfect in regards to what Mysterio is as a character, and I feel like that's a much better. I mean, like I said, the Vulture was a good time, but that just was so effortless that I wish it would have been a little bit more of its own thing in the first one, so that in the second one it wouldn't feel as much like okay, Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man, Iron Man. You know?
Yeah, and once I think about it in retrospect, like I understand why Iron Man's thrown out there because it's it's post Endgame. But like when I also said like it's too much, I every time we transition to another scene, it'd be an Iron Man poster or like an Iron
Yeah.
Man
Yep.
painting.
Yep.
It was just
Yeah.
like that. Like I'm cool. I'm personally cool with the barf technology being tied to Tony, but it was just like
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
The little nuances were like just the next scene, Iron Man. The next scene, Iron Man. I'm just like, all right, like I get it. Like he's gone, you know. But that was it's a small nitpick. It's not like that significant, but I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. It was great. But the only thing what sucks is because they were hyping up the multiverse, and now
Yeah.
it's just not there. It's like, all
Yeah.
right, but it doesn't mean it
Yeah.
won't happen. It doesn't mean it won't happen. And I think with the strength of Mysterio was that he was self aware. He knew like his story was like stupid, and silly. Like he has like a fishbowl head and everything. Like the multiverse. Like my world died. And like he like when they like at the point they showed who he was and what his intentions were. It's like he knew he was messing around, and now he's just like he just took advantage of a situation and got Edith. Um, I think the great part was the blip. So I think that was because we were all
The
wondering.
reverse snap.
Yeah, like we were wondering like how is this gonna tie in with the world, and they told us in the first like 5 minutes or 2 minutes, and then we are like, all right, let's go, like let's move on, and pretty much Peter's class, pretty much like same like I guess MJ was pretty much snapped away. Marissa Tomei, Aunt May was snapped away. Yeah, because Marissa Tomei, she had said she had a meeting where she's like, "Oh, I went back to my apartment, but there was like people living there." Yeah, and
Happy was snapped.
yeah, Happy was he was snapped, right?
Yeah, yeah, he was snapped because he says I think he makes a joke too about him like coming back and being like, "What the hell's going on?"
That's funny, but like yeah, Happy and Aunt May, I'm cool with it. It's pretty funny. Um,
I forget how what was the time gap again? Was it how long were they snapped for? Was it 5 years?
5 years, 5 years,
That's a
yeah,
long ass time.
dude. Yeah, that's how I was thinking about that. And I was like, wow. So like
So this
2000,
film takes place in
it's like in the isn't it like
20,
2020 something?
yeah, like 2023 or something, 2022.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought so too, because Homecoming had a weird time, jump. Because like remember in the beginning,
Yeah.
it said like Avengers, like when the
Civil
Avengers
War.
happened. Yeah, it was like
And then it
in the
was the difference between the first Avengers and Civil War was like
yes,
8 years, but like not 8 years.
yeah. So I think they like messed that up. Whatever. They can make an exception because that's a small error with continuity compared to like X-Men. You know.
Right,
Um,
right, right. And you
it,
have and like X-Men was what like 6 films that they couldn't get their shit together for. Like this is like 22 films. Like
and
I
and
mean,
they had a rebooted timeline too, X-Men with Days of Futures Past, and they still
and they
dropped the
still
bomb. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, but this movie is like it was just I don't know, it had Watts all over it. His the director. It
Mhm.
still felt like an '80s fun film. I just have high hopes for this future of this like franchise. I want to because I remember Tom Holland said on an interview that he made a slip up of as usual. He was like, "Oh, like Spider-Man's like signed for like 3 films." And I'm like, "Please let it be longer because he's still young. Give him like 8 movies. Like let's grow
Right.
up with him."
And one of the biggest things to note is like is Sony's rights is dependent on them making on them continuing to make films, right? So like
Exactly.
there's no option for there to be downtime because like the only time you wouldn't continue the only reason you wouldn't continue would be if you wanted downtime. If the only reason to not continue with him is to be like, all right, I'm not making any films. That's the only reason why we're not having more of him. But that's not an option for Sony. Like I'm pretty sure their contract, them retaining the ownership, is dependent on them making a film every so years. So
Hmm.
if they're forced to continue to make movies, what be smart about it and be forced and be forced to make good films like renew so this film opened up to what is it 160 180 million over the
Hmm.
course of the 4-day weekend, and it's globally at 600 million. So
Yeah,
it's on its way to be
to a
the
billion.
highest ranking Spider-Man film ever, which is saying something because it's the seventh Spider-Man film in like 2 decades.
And it was released on a
So
Wednesday.
and
So
right. So it's in their best interest. It's in Sony's best interest to be like, you know what, guys, let's sign let's sign another contract. Let's give them another three. Because if we're gonna if they have to continue to make Spider-Man films, do something different and like let's, like you said, Harry Potter the Spider-Man. Let's have a whole saga. Let's see him grow up. Let's see all of his rogues galleries. Let's see him experience different things. Let's see him go to college. Let's see him graduate. Let's see him become a professor. Like, do it all. Like, if we're gonna be in it, then let's be in it for the long haul.
It's yeah, because I don't think Sony's. I just hope they're not stupid, but I really doubt that they're gonna want to break contract. Because listen, we brought this up. The Rotten Tomato score was at 89. That shit went up to like a 92 or 91, and I was like, that is not possible.
A
Because once you
Rotten
get
Tomato score going up.
yeah, like once you get a Rotten Tomato score, you just go down from there. You know what I mean? It sets the bar, and then it drops maybe 5 points at most or something, depending on how shitty your movie is. But if it's in the 90s, man, like I don't think you should abort, especially if you think that Venom made you money. Even though it did make you money, it still wasn't good. You know what I mean? Like it was a dumb, like convoluted storyline, like an old 90s movie where there was like too
Yeah.
many loose ends where you're like, okay, that wasn't explained. Whatever, I'll turn my brain off. And with all these rumors about Venom crossing over and blah blah blah, I'm just like, I don't think he's ready yet. Like I don't think he's ready yet, but it's still like you said, let's get Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Let's not recycle villains yet. There's so much like
I want Craven so bad in the next one. I
but
think
yeah, he's been talking about that. The director said that he wants to do Craven. So
I want it so
I
bad.
was gonna bring that up. But let's make sure he's fresh. Like me personally, I want him to be fresh and not be tied to Tony. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
let this should be the takeoff point for Spider-Man to be his own.
Yep.
He's already
Yep.
proven maybe not to be the next Iron Man, but to be his own character. And he has the technology with him. He has Edith. He can make his new suits and all that jazz. But I'm kind of disappointed he didn't use his Iron Spider suit more, which was like, all right,
Yeah, right. Because like that thing is like so high tech. Like the fact that he just like dropped it off and never brought it back up just kind of felt kind of weird.
yeah, it's nanotech. And I was like,
They should
you
have had
can-
like had it destroyed and that like so like storyline wise it made sense he wouldn't use that awesome piece of technology.
yeah, seriously,
You
I just
you also just reminded me of two notes, or just two things I want to follow up on, which was one, I'm glad you brought up Venom, and I'm glad you brought up because this is like one of the most important aspects of the contract, and so the thing about Venom and the whole contract is the fact that Sony would only really think about ending the contract with Marvel or not extending it rather if they think that they can make good on their own, if they think that they don't need Marvel anymore. And so Venom being a crap film narrative wise, that's one thing. But the fear was that even after it was such a booty movie, it made 855 million on a 116 million budget. The fear was Sony was going to start getting a little, full of themselves and be like, oh, we don't need Marvel anymore. We can make Spider-Man films that make money. But I'm happy that Spider-Man is like, what I'm saying, like it's this film is the best one money wise in its history.
and
That
review wise.
and review wise, because now it's like, all right, yeah, great, you did Venom, but like look at what Marvel did for your Spider-Man. They didn't do 800 million on their opening weekend globally. They did 600, so that's probably going to be what 1.2 billion. They're going to 1.4 billion. It's close to doubling. It'll probably in its entire theater time in the theaters, it'll realistically probably double what Venom made, and that's a big number to say. That's double what Venom made. So I'm hoping and I'm feeling pretty confident that this film being so successful is gonna make sure the contract extends, because after Venom, everyone, people in the know were a little nervous because it was like, all right, that made a decent amount of money for being a crap film, but this movie's gonna make gangbusters, and it's Sony gets all that money as per the contract. They get all that money.
Yeah.
So that was my first note. And second, I know you know this, but this is for the people listening. The biggest reason for Iron Man being so ingrained in Spider-Man's films and being so in your face is because the reason this contract happened, the reason this deal with Sony happened, was because Spider-Man was not making as much money as Sony wanted. Sony Spider-Man is what is their breadwinner. Spider-Man is, believe it or not, like their top franchise, either their top three, if not their top franchise. Like that is what they go to for the big bucks. And so when Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 started making less money, they didn't even do that bad. They just made less money than Sony wanted. They were forced to rethink their strategy because, like I said, they have to continue to make films. So they were like, what do we do when our hands are tied? We have to make films, and we run the risk of fatigue. And so the answer was we let Marvel take control. They're already great at making films, and on top of that, they have all these characters that people already care about that can inject new life into the Spider-Man franchise. And so that's why Iron Man was so much in your face for these two films, but like the point you raised, this is a great time for them to say, all right, now this Spider-Man has been reinvigorated. The character has a new leash. There's all these new fans who no longer are tired of Spider-Man movies. They're ready to see what's next because Marvel's in control. So you don't have to rely on Iron Man anymore. You can give Spider-Man, you can make this a Spider-Man film. Still have some type of MCU tie-ins, but you can do it and have it be his own and not worry about losing the money.
Yeah, because no, those are solid points. And once you look at the call, like the opening weekend and the reviews, like Rotten Tomatoes, even though we reference it like a ton of times, it's a no-brainer to stick with Marvel. And they haven't dipped down. Like maybe a couple, but like Ant-Man's still a good movie. Like their quote unquote their worst movies are still good. So they're still at their peak right now, and we'll see how Phase 4 goes. But I'm going into Phase 4 very confident. Like, I'm excited for Shang-Chi now. I'm like, fuck it. Like, all right, like let's get the Asians up in here. Like, I thought at least Marvel would make Vision Asian, and I'm like, oh, he's a white guy. I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, once we're talking about it, like right now, and we have it processed after the weekend and holiday. It's like my nitpick of Tony Stark and Iron Man. I'm like, okay, like this should be the takeoff point. Like it is going to be Peter's story, and it has been, but like it's going to be fully him now because he's already set up 2 films, and people people know this is a Marvel Studios property.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think today people aren't as. I think people use the internet to the level where they're aware. I'm like, what's a Marvel property and what is Marvel Studios? Maybe not little kids, but like I feel like people are like informed enough. But I'm trying to think. I don't know. I feel like I need to watch this movie like one more time, to be honest, because it was really a lot to process.
Yeah.
Like post Endgame, their life. Mysterio, just to like catch on to some little nitpicky things, like to look at and really connect it, and then like the post-credit scene, which the 2 of them blew me away, especially with J. Jonah showing up and the fact that he's in like now he's gonna know his identity and he doesn't know Peter,
right? Peter hasn't worked for him, so it's like there's no like.
But like if they cover it up and then we do that like Talos thing, like where he's like morphed into him, and like it'd just be interesting to be like, oh, I thought, and like Peter works for him still, and he's like, oh, I thought you were Spider-Man the whole time. He just like keeps smack on him. That'd be funny.
What was this guy? I was gonna say. Oh man, I just had a thought on the tip of my tongue. This isn't the thought I was gonna say, but oh my gosh, I just want to say, like I was ecstatic when Spider-Man goes against Mysterio after it's revealed that Mysterio is in fact a character we know from the comics. He's a con man.
Exactly.
When Spider-Man goes toe to toe against Mysterio for the first time, and Mysterio goes full nightmare mode, goes full it reminded me of like the Scarecrow fights from
Arkham?
From Arkham, yeah.
Yes.
This scene was so cool, was so brutal, was visually so pleasing, and it just felt like it was stripped straight from the comics. And then when Mysterio was so brutal, man. Like after everything was said and done, he fakes himself out of the Vision, and then you're like, okay,
He
and then it's
shot him,
over.
yeah.
And then he's like, wait, nope, psych, I'm still here. And then he does another vision, and then he's like, sorry, I gotta kill you now. And Spider-Man just gets hit by a train, and it looks like you could feel Spider-Man, you could feel Peter getting hit by the train, and that whole scene was just so intense, and I enjoyed it so much.
Dude, it was so intense, especially with the dead Iron Man coming out of the grave. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh
Oh
my
yeah, I
god.
totally forgot about
But
that.
like, but dude, like it wasn't just like cool. It was like the CGI was on point. You know,
Oh
like it
yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
This could have been cheesy, to be
Yep.
honest. Like without that
Yep.
proper execution, but it was just so good, and it proved that Mysterio, even though he's human, he could go toe to toe, and he
Yeah,
wouldn't have to
dude. You could,
he wouldn't have to throw a punch. You know,
yeah.
because Peter was webbing some things and pulling him down. It would be like a fucking like pillar, and he
Yeah,
would
that
just
he's pulling on himself.
Yes, and that's like the crazy part, and you don't know. And he's like, when he saw Happy, he's like, Happy, tell me something you know about me personally, and like, I would have been done the same thing. I would have been tripping
Yeah, dude.
out.
Oh my God, I felt so bad for him when he was like, "I need a friend." He's like, "I don't even know if you're my friend." Like that was, oh my God. You know what I thought literally they did Mr. and Jake Gyllenhaal is such a phenomenal actor. Everything
Such a
about
good.
Mysterio was done so well that I kid you not, the thought that came across my mind was, "Yep, I could see this Mysterio being the reason that Wolverine kills all the X-Men."
I was just
Like,
gonna fucking say that. Oh, you bitch! Because I was thinking Old Man Logan. I was just gonna wait till you fucking. Oh, you bastard. Because like, remember? All right, if you haven't read Old Man Logan, fuck it. Like when Mysterio tricks him into in an X mansion, he thought he was fighting all the bad guys. Like I was like, wow, Mysterio. Like once you see his powers in the movie, you're like, you can completely understand why he would trick him up like that. And oh man, I was dying to say that. I was dying to say that. I have a hard copy of that novel too. Oh, so good, so good. It's just like some of I do question some of the like technology. You know, like if he throws a bus at like the monster and it hits him instead of phases through him, like like the actual physics of like how it works. But like it's a movie. I'm like I think I'm kind of thinking too deep about it.
I also, and I think like it depends on the context. So, like I think most of the time the scenario would be that that bus didn't exist. Like anything that he threw was a part of
Yeah.
the building was real, but the building did fall because of the seismic reactors that the one lady has set up. So that was a real danger. And I think it's just kind of like if the rule of thumb is like if it wasn't like a real human being in it, like then it was a CGI, and then if it was, then I think I can see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
And I think the best assumption is to just assume that anything that he threw at the monster was also like created by the drones.
Yeah, I was just like, see, when I was thinking about it, and like, okay, so remember he was fighting him, and he took him out of the vision, and Sam Jackson's like, oh, who'd you tell? Like, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And that was a vision. I'm like, okay, so like, did they create like a dome over his body so he just sees the projections, or like, because I was just like, how? What's the
yeah,
depth of field that this whole thing is simulated? You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, it definitely like the film, like the scenes where you see the behind the scenes, like when he's being really smug, it makes it seem like these drones are capable because you figure the end battle, like that whole thing was huge, and you see all those drones. So I'm assuming like he created the scene where who did you tell? Like I'm assuming like that was just like a shit ton of drones in a concentrated area, completely 360 surrounding him. So it was complete immersion, is what I'm assuming, because that's kind of like what it seemed like.
Yeah, it just that scene that I think that was the most. I think that was the second most thing that shocked me was when he was at that meeting with Sam Jackson. It wasn't even real.
Yeah.
And then I asked you during the movie. I'm like, yo, so Sam Jackson was never there, like even the one that got shot. You were like, nah. I'm like, damn. Like
Yeah,
that
because
really
he
threw me
like from the
off.
car from picking him up from him picking him up in Belgium. Like when
Yup.
he gets off the plane, from then until you see him later on when Maria tells him that there's the seismic reactors are kicking up again. Like for the whole 20-minute span, the entire time is Jake Gyllenhaal.
I look at
Wait, is Jake? It's Mysterio playing Talos playing Nick.
yeah via holograms, which is crazy. It's just I don't know. It's just so like I'm because this is my first time talking to you about it after the movie, and like now I'm like rethinking like this whole. I have to see it one more time. I'm like really nitpicking it. Not as a bad thing because like I'm just curious of just
You're
how
just
the
dissecting it.
technology works. Yeah, I'm dissecting it. But yeah, I do remember him picking him up in Germany and driving. I'm like, wow, he probably in a car with Mysterio the whole time, you know. But I don't know. This movie is so good. I have like high standards for the next one, like Craven 2, and even after Mysterio died, I went up to you. I was like, "Yo, no more Sinister Six."
Yeah, I'm a little sad. I want him to find a way out of that because Jake Gyllenhaal was such a strong actor and Mysterio was done so well that I would want a Sinister Six with Mister. And I never thought I would say that, right? Like back in the day when I was reading the comics or watching the cartoons, every time there was a Sinister Six lineup and there was kind of like some of the B tier characters like Shock or Mysterio, I was like, ugh, here we go. But now I'm like, dude, I want Mysterio in this. I want a Sinister Six and I want Mysterio played by Jake Gyllenhaal in this lineup.
Yeah. Fix your mic real quick. I think it's kind of like off.
Oh wait, there we go.
Yeah, perfect. But yeah, I even told you this after like Spider-Man's identity is revealed. I was just like, they could still do a Sinister Six, but like have their own spin on it. Like, why not? It'd be different. But because if I think the thing is though, like it's kind of weird because identities aren't a big thing in the MCU
At all.
at all. So it's like I get it for Spider-Man. I really do because like he's a kid. He has an aunt. There's people gunning after him, like Scorpion, Vulture.
Yeah, like Scorpion straight up was like, "Yo,
yeah, I'll kill him." Yeah, like straight up. Yo, fucker, who is he?
Who's this Peter Parker, dude?
Yeah, I'm fucking crazy, man. I'll get him. But but yeah, the director for 1 and 2 definitely said he wanted to do Craven. Actually, like I think today or yesterday, and I'm like, I'm with it. Like, let's not recycle our characters yet. But at the same time, I'm curious of like how a Doc Ock would do in this universe.
I would love for the next film to be Craven, but in the background, introduce Norman Osborn as a mogul, not Green Lantern, but just as a businessman, and then even potentially introducing Doctor Octo Octavius. Like kind of like the Into the Spider-Verse setup where. Dr. Octavius works for the Kingpin, but in this case, it'd be Dr. Octavius kind of not like for right now working for Norman Osborn. That way, at least you're getting them introduced. So in the next film, when one of them transforms, it feels like it's earned. It feels like you've seen their journey, their transformation.
Yeah, now that'd be cool. I'm just trying to think of other villains right now.
There's Chameleon.
Yeah, Chameleon.
I wouldn't want that though. Not after Mysterio. I think not unless he's like a support villain, like kind of like the Shocker in
I was thinking that too.
Or whatever, or Tinkerer rather in the last one.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I just think it's way too early for like a Venom or Carnage type of thing, and I would love for Oscorp to be bought out. To buy out the Avengers building. That'd be a cool
I feel like
thing.
everyone is like waiting for that. Like every post-credit scene, people are like, "Oh, Oscorp? No." Okay.
I even said that to you during the credit scene. I was like, Oscorp, watch. Like I thought it was gonna show up, and then it was J. Jonah Jameson, which is even better. I mean, even though I would love for it to be the Baxter building, but I don't think it's. I just think it's gonna be Oscorp for some reason.
Yeah. I agree.
We don't know our timeline for Fantastic Four. Maybe until this phase is released and talked about in Comic-Con. I think the funniest part was like Ned and his girlfriend.
That was hilarious.
Ned's kind of a dickhead friend when I think about it, but he's just so funny. Like you can't hate him.
Plus, I think I don't know if it's intentional, but I actually like that because it's you think about the fact that in all of the other Spider-Man films and media, like one of the biggest things is like how Peter sucks as a friend because he's always ditching his friends to save the day. So in this instance, it's kind of like a trade-off. It's like, okay, well, Ned is kind of being a dickhead, but at the same time, like Peter's always ditching him, so it's kind of like they're fair, they're even. Like it works out.
Yeah, because this universe is so different. Like MJ, even though she's not Mary Jane, and then we did talk about Doctor Octopus. I was thinking like Into the Spider-Verse. I was like, I would be cool with Doc Ock being a female, like an Into the Spider-Verse. That'd be cool. Like, she was badass.
I liked her character. She was like smug and just like super science. I really enjoyed her character in Into the Spider-Verse.
And you told me you just watched it for the first time, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man? I
I
love
loved it.
that.
It was a
I
fantastic film.
I love. I don't know the Spider-Man that tries to teach Miles is probably like one of my favorite Spider-Man, and
Well,
he's
I
only in one
love
movie.
Jake Johnson. Like I find him
Yeah,
hilarious at anything, and so like instantly when he was cast as Spider-Man, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. I'm
but
down
he's
for
he's
this.
so relatable though. You know what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Like him and Fat Thor are so relatable. I don't know why, and like I don't know. It's just he was in one movie, and I like he's probably like my top two Spider-Man besides Tom Holland, like right now, and it's just they're killing it. And the fact that it's on Netflix, like I've watched it twice already, Into Spider Verse on Netflix. But I'm trying to think of like I'm trying to process like especially with the post credit scene with Jay Jonah, and you did mention Sword, which was like huge. Like I thought that the Secret Invasion would be a story plot for the future, but I kind of don't see it happening now. But maybe there are some rogue factions. You know,
Yeah,
you never
I
know.
definitely think. Well, I think they said in an interview, right? Like after Captain Marvel came out, like I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Kevin Feige or someone. I don't know if it was a creator of the Skrulls, but someone questioned someone in higher up that was like, oh, like what's up with the Skrulls just being goody goody? Like, that's not as interesting as like this power dynamic between the Kree and the Skrull. And whoever, I think it was Feige himself who responded. He was like, yeah, don't get it wrong. Like there's bad Skrulls, there's good Skrulls, there's bad Kree, there's good Kree. We just happen to see the good Skrulls right now. So I
Yeah,
definitely think that there's a rogue faction out there that's like definitely trying to. I mean, I don't know. Personally, and this is a personal thing. Like I just find storylines where there's like, oh, who's the real one, or like who's the traitor, or like who's the one playing us. Like I hate those storylines. I don't know why. I just feel like they're so tiresome. I just feel like they
yeah.
drag on. So like I'm actually like not. I would be just fine with if we didn't do a secret invasion. Like I just feel like that's fine. Like I don't. It doesn't do anything for me.
I don't think it deserves to be an Avengers like event. You know, I mean, it's big, but it's not like galactic big. Like I'm hoping like the next Avengers movie is either Kang or Galactus. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
those would be great options. Actually, I want Galactus first because I feel like I feel like we'd have enough time to have the Fantastic Four and X-Men introduced. Um,
Especially if we're taking that break, like they say.
yeah, yeah, we're being low key now and build starting small scale, and I think I don't know how. I don't even know if Phase 4 is gonna have an Avengers movie. You know what I mean? Like I feel
It
like
doesn't seem like it right now.
no, because like we're okay. We're gonna have sequels for our
Doctor
new
Strange,
yep
Black Panther,
yeah
Spider-Man 3.
our
Then
new
we have
Avengers and
our
then the new
single
guys.
films, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals. Like that's already what, like, and oh, and Guardians 3. That's
Yeah,
like what, like I don't even know how many I just said, like 7 or 8 films already, and they've already and what they have planned, like 9. So like
I mean maybe they could do like like a Civil War type of thing, like Captain Marvel, but it's like
I would be down for
featuring
that.
yeah, like featuring blah blah blah.
Right, I would
Uh,
be down for that.
yeah, like I
Or
there's
Ant-Man 3, like just I don't know, just for some reason, like I could see Ant-Man 3 being like, even if it doesn't make like even if it doesn't necessarily make sense that he would be the character to bring all these other characters into this film, I could just see like a film like Ant-Man 3 being the one that's like Avengers 4.5.
yeah, but I mean Paul Rudd even recently said he's not sure if Ant-Man 3 is even happening.
I think they're gonna do it. I can't see why
Yeah,
not.
I don't see why
They've
not. It's not
they've done
bad.
Yeah, and they've done trilogies for all their other stuff. So like why the film does good money, especially considering it's
It's
like a
a
B tier
Ant-Man movie.
B tier C
Yeah,
plus tier character. So I can't see them not making it a trilogy. The only film that hasn't been a trilogy is what, Incredible Hulk, and that's because the rights
yeah,
because they don't have the rights to do a single release.
yeah, because Universal. So it's like
Yeah,
weird.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I think Universal gets first. I think the way it works is Universal gets first dibs. So like Universal has to say no, but then if Universal says no, Marvel can release it. But then they don't. But then Universal would never say no because they would lose out. But they also don't want to make it. It's like a whole convoluted thing.
no, I think every contract outside Marvel Studios is just crazy. If you guys are listening and you're kind of like, what are you talking about with like Sony and Universal? Like, Marvel was broke for a while. So I'd say like the 90s, early 2000s, they
Hmm.
sold their properties to Fox and Universal. So they didn't have
And
the movie
Sony.
rights. Yep, and Sony. And yeah, they didn't have the movie rights. And now that, Marvel took the shot and the risk and did this Hail Mary with Iron Man and they're killing it. Now we're just trying to get all our properties back, but they pretty much got all them back. Unless I'm missing someone. Is Namor? Namor is a different
I'm pretty
Universal
sure
property.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the main ones left is like you just is the two you just said, Hulk and Namor,
Yeah.
and I think they're both. I know Hulk is Universal. I think Namor is like 40% Universal, 40% some other like random company that's like some
Yeah.
like random third party or something.
Yeah, because I saw a Pinterest post and they were saying what character belongs to what, and Namor was belonged to like a different ass company. I don't know what it is.
It was some random like
Yeah.
not New Line Cinema, but something like that. Like
Something
something
like
random.
that. Yeah. So like we're not gonna. I don't. So, but that's the thing. I don't know the extent of their contract if they can do movie rights with it, or it's like.
It's rumored that it's just him and the Hulk have the same thing where they can't do a film that's just that's named after them, but they can. The rumor is they can appear in other films. So like a lot of people fan cast Black Panther 2 as having Namor as like a
As a
competing
villain.
civilization because they can
Yeah.
do that. They can have him appear in other stuff they just can't do. The rumor is again that they just can't do single films.
I'm trying to think about that. I heard about that for a while, Namor versus Black Panther, but I don't know if I want to see that, like Atlantis, like especially if he's gonna become a good guy. I don't know if I want to. I mean,
Well, and that's
it would up the scale. I'm not gonna lie, it would,
but
but I
that's
don't
the
know.
thing is like the storyline that spawns Atlantis versus Wakanda is from Namor taking a bat turn. So it's like,
Yeah.
for them to immediately start out with that, it's like, okay, so does he go from a bad guy to a good guy? And then, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
I don't know. Anytime Namor is bad in the comics, I just find him so annoying. So, like, he's so smug and he's just so full of himself and he's so
he's
condescending.
cocky.
He's
Yeah.
cocky. Honestly, man, like when he's a villain, I cannot stand. He's so annoying. Like he's not even like a fun villain. He's just like so full of himself. I can't stand him.
Well, I mean, honestly, it'd be our counter to Aquaman, and we wouldn't have to have a movie, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like I get what you're saying with Namor and Black Panther, because I think I was reading Avengers versus X-Men, and they kind of like touched on it, or is it? I forget it was that or Infinity that Wakanda was getting destroyed by
It was
Atlantis.
Infinity. I'm pretty sure because what ends up
Yeah.
happening because the whole issue is from I forget the order of events, but basically Na- Black Panther doesn't assist Namor or directly results in his Atlantis getting attacked by another third party,
Hmm.
and so because of that, Namor betrays him and sends like Thanos' army or like some another third party straight to Wakanda's borders, and
Yeah.
Wakanda straight up dies, straight up gets obliterated, and to the point where Black Panther's new nickname is like King of the Dead or something, and
Yeah.
so then um,
And it gets
Namor,
flooded too.
yeah, and it gets flooded exactly. So then um, what T'Challa finds like ends up confronting Namor with like I think it's with the Illuminati when they're trying to save the universe, and Namor like straight up is like so smug. He's like, yeah, that's why I sent them to your Wakanda gates. That's why you're the king of the dead. And T'Challa
Ah.
loses it, dude. And he goes to straight up murk Namor, and Iron Man and all the rest of the Illuminati pulled him back, and they're like, Namor, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I see. That's the thing. I don't know enough about Black Panther lore, but I do. I am confident that Marvel can take his villains and make another film. Um, I don't know. It's just there's so many possibilities because I'm more excited to see Doctor Strange too because I want to see him expand on his powers. He only did it a little bit for Endgame and like a
Yeah.
short scene, and I love that mystical stuff. Like I just want more of that, and I'm excited to play him in Ultimate Alliance next week.
Ah, I can't wait.
I
I want to see the
cannot lie.
roster. I want to see the full roster.
Dude, I'm already gonna buy the expansion pass for like
Oh,
$70.
definitely.
You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? With the Marvel Knights and then Fantastic Four and like more X-Men players. Like,
Absolutely.
count me in. You ready to hit Stranger Things though?
Yeah, right before we do it though, I just want to say, I jumped right into all this other stuff, so I didn't convey it, but I was so damn pumped and excited to see J.K. Rowling, I mean J.K. Simmons, back in the role of Jonah, J. Jonas Jameson. I mean, literally like next to Tony Stark and next to Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yes.
J.K. Rowling as J.K. Simmons.
J.K.
The
Rowling.
first time I did it was a joke, but this time I
Yeah,
actually
but
think
this
I'm
time you
serious.
actually said it.
Um, next to those two, like J.K. Simmons as as J. Jonah Jameson has been like the best cast, and I mean like it was such a pipe dream to see him come back as that character. Like I'm telling you, I would never in a million years imagine Marvel would
No.
allow like that type of like cross pollination because like the original Sam Raimi series is like not MCU, and like Marvel's very
Mm.
particular about keeping stuff consistent. And I mean, he was so good that Marvel was like, I'm sure John Watts was like, "Yo, Marvel, can we do this?" And he were like, "Sure, why not?" And I mean, I just it was so cool, and I really hope that it's not a one-off, and I hope he's in the next one
Yes.
because
Yes.
just J.K. Simmons is such a great actor, and like Jay Jonah, like with him as Jay Jonah, it just brings so much to the film.
Well, yeah, I agree because well, the thing is, I read an article recently. Watts was like aimed to get you're fucking me up now. J.K. Simmons the whole time as Jay Jonah, um, but yeah, it's just even I think it's still early for Peter, to be a photographer and stuff. But we can have him be hinted at in the next movie as like a news report, like just
Yeah,
something
yeah.
minor, and it's not like physically daunting for him to do it. Because apparently that scene that was recorded, it was done like in a office, like a legit office, like on the spot, and it took like them a minute to film. So
That's so awesome.
and the fact that like they threw that in, Marvel is very self aware, and they're not, all their moves are power moves. But yeah, I really have hopes for him being around. I don't think it's just a one off, but it just gets you excited because they took the best part of the Raimi series.
Yep.
It could be an easy transition, I think, and taking the best of that and just adding it here, just that really took me out of reality. Though I was just like, I looked at you, I was like, whoa, like I feel like I was on a trip or something, and I was like, this is weird. And then the scene with Hill and Sam Jackson or Nick Fury, like when they changed, I was like, no way, like
Yeah, you legit said that.
no way. And like I was just like, don't. But I didn't. When that happened, I didn't think it was Talos. I thought it was like another scroll. I'm like, oh, like what is going on? Like I need like a glass of water. Like I'm tired. Like what
He
is
needs some
going on?
milk.
I need some milk. That's what I need. And that's the thing. Like when I wanted to review about this, like I just wanted to talk about the post credit scene, like for
Yeah, they
real.
were just like we started this out with like they just were so monumental. That's like, wow, like I can't believe that was a that was a post credit scene.
That post credit scene was S tier. Like that was some
Absolutely.
fire. Like you said, like back to Iron Man 1. Final verdict though, 9 out of 10. I love it. I do want to see it again. I still have to see Toy Story 4. But yeah, like this was good for me for the summer. Like I don't know what else is coming out. Lion King. That's about it.
And I think there's a film with two burly men, three burly men.
Oh, you're such a clown. You're such a clown. You're such a. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, what Keanu's talking about is Hobbs and Shaw, and dude, that trailer though with Idris Elba on that bike, I was like, okay,
Right.
that was sick. I'm not gonna lie. But the part that takes me out was when The Rock's doing like the fucking like the New Zealand like chant thing, and then he's
Yeah.
like beating people up when they have guns. I'm like, all right, all right, all right. But whatever. I mean, look, I'm still considering it. I'll hit you up. um, you looked at me the whole time we were watching this trailer, like
'Cause
looking
I just
for
want to see how
approval.
I know you were like, what the hell is happening?
Yes, I was like, here we go. But I mean, Keanu already got his midnight tickets. I just have to decide if I'm going. But I have to find out soon because like there are RSVP chair seating. But yeah, I'll think about that one. But Keanu final rating, same thing as well.
Yeah, same thing. I love the film. Just it did such a good job of reigniting my love of Spider-Man films because I've always loved Spider-Man, but did a great job of me getting excited about Spider-Man films.
Yeah, and just Marvel in general. Because I was kind of worried, man. Because I told you this in previous episodes. I'm like, after Endgame, I'm kind of done watching Marvel movies. But like, not that I won't ever watch them, but like in my mind, it's a complete book,
Right,
And
right,
this,
right.
like, I think my final saying for this half of the review before we hit Stranger Things is that it was a good epilogue for Phase 3, and I'll keep it at that. But next topic, this is a pretty, it's the hot one that's trending everywhere. Stranger Things season 3.
Do do do
I,
do 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 do.
yeah, right. Everyone play your sins and all your 80s
Ominous
tracks.
synth music.
Dude, I was happy to see that opening come up again. I was like, ah.
Oh, such a great feeling, dude.
Yeah, and it's like, do you want to skip the intro? I'm like, no, asshole. I
No,
want to keep
what
it.
is wrong with
Like,
you? This is art.
yeah, this is art, but I give. So I'm talking to a lot of people. Some people think season 2 was better, but my personal order, and I need to marinate on it more. I think my favorite seasons are 1, 3, and 2. Like, what are
So
your thoughts?
everywhere online and my coworker all agree with that rating. Everywhere I've seen
Okay.
online
Okay. Cool.
and my coworker said the same thing. So
Okay.
whoever you talk to, I'm not sure because this is literally like it almost seems like a unanimous opinion.
Unanimous. Okay, because I was gonna. Okay, that wasn't my original opinion, to be honest. Because originally I I love season 3. I was like, wow, I binge watched it all in one sitting. Sadly, actually not sadly. I'm fucking winning if I'm watching it in one sitting.
Damn right.
Yeah. So my original rating was order was 3, 1, then 2. So, but then I just recently switched. I'm like, nah, 1 really set the standards. 3 had to like up the standards from 2, but
Right.
but 3 felt too similar to 2. Maybe because they didn't introduce a new monster, but I'm not mad about that. Do you understand what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say?
I completely understand what you're saying.
But this is, guys, this is non spoilers for a little bit. We'll obviously warn you ahead. I give this season like an 8.5 out of 10. Now that I've watched it twice. What are your thoughts on your rating?
I once again pretty much I would give it the same score.
Yeah, 8.5. And I just got to give my hats off to the Duffer Brothers because they're just straight killing it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They're killing it. And my brother watched it. He's like, I'm just so happy that there's good writing still in this world. And I'm like, exactly.
Yo, I'm like on the Reddit, and it's so refreshing to not see a bunch of like hatred and scorn towards the writers.
I
Especially because
know.
like it's literally like the Game of Thrones showrunners were like two guy writers, like they're not brothers, but basically two brother writers, and now this is like the same situation, two brother writers. And it's just like so refreshing for everyone to be like, yeah, we loved it, let's get more. Like it's super nice because like you know I'm like you and I are very good at being critical about this about stuff we like. We're very good about analyzing. We're very good about reviewing. But when it comes down to it, for me, when I love a franchise, even if I don't think it's the strongest entry, I have like a really weird way of like forcing myself to like it because I like the franchise as a whole. I'll kind of like force myself to find the good aspects, and kind of like be blind to the bad. But it's refreshing to not have to do that. It's refreshing to be like, oh, but no, wait, yeah, it was great. I'm correct to enjoy it because it was great.
Yeah, because it picked up off season 2 and it improved on it by, one, giving Billy more character development,
Yes.
which I felt for, and they summed it up in like the later half pretty fast, like with his childhood and stuff. But after episode 4, that's where it really picked up. And
Definitely.
it did start off a little slow, but it was kind of
Definitely.
just, it needed to be a little slow to transition us back. Like we don't even know the time jump, like it that was fine. But for what it is and what the hype is, and you have to build off season 2, like it was still great. And I wonder, because we talked about this previously, and you were saying like the crew wanted to do up to 4 or 5, correct?
Yep. Yeah. That's always yeah.
And I feel like,
I think 4 is a magic number.
yeah. See, I was thinking, I in my heart I want 5, but I feel like 4 could be really the conclusion, because as I talk to more people, and I talked to my friend, she watched it. We actually finished it last night. Just like we watched like 6, 7, and 8 together, and she was like, "I like this season, but it's kind of repetitive at this point." And I was like,
Yep.
I can understand what you're saying, and I like these are valid points. And I when I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, the mind flare. Maybe maybe I thought it was like similar to 2 because they didn't really introduce a new monster. I don't know. It was still a good season. I mean, I kind of dumbed down the points after like reflecting on it, like watching it the second time. But like when I first finished it, I was like, wow, bravo! Like let's restart this up again. Like I had no problem, and Billy had his time to shine, and I cared about him. Max had time to shine. Dustin, everyone had
Everyone had a moment.
a moment, and there were all 3 different plots that came together. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they didn't start out they didn't come all as a unit till the end. That's not even a spoiler, but like you know what I
Right,
mean?
because it was I think I'm pretty sure a similar thing happening too. Like they do the splintering off into groups and
Hmm.
they each investigate their own mystery, Scooby Doo, you know. Um, but it was funny because my reaction of three it was a little bit the opposite. Like I enjoyed watching it. I binged it as well, and like when I finished it, I initially was like, I don't know that I like it more than two. I don't know that I like it more than one and two, and I left it kind of like I really enjoyed it, but I don't know if I loved it. And as time went on, and I reflected on it, and I rewatched the last episode. I rewatched the first episode. I was like, you know what? No, no, okay, I did enjoy this. I just I think I was a little bit um, stuck on the point you made, which is the first four episodes are on the slower side. Like when you compare three with one, like in season one, like the first episode, Will disappears.
Hmm.
Second episode, we're already looking for him. Third episode, what I'm saying, we're getting L. Like it felt like the developments were happening so fast. And in three, they wanted something a little bit different and they wanted to give us some breathing room, right? So like the first episode is more or less entirely just seeing the kids in living their normal life. Like the whole first episode is more or less just them being normal.
Hmm.
So at first, I think I was a little bit stuck on that, but after marinating on it and rewatching some of it, I've reached the conclusion that I did actually I really enjoyed it. I really loved it, and I see. I have to rewatch two because I feel I know a
I
lot of
kind of
people.
forget about it right now, you know?
And I feel like a lot of people put two like a lot further down. Like they're like, oh my God, like two was like kind of like ham-fisted and like was super contrived. But like I remember really enjoying two, but I don't know if that was just like
Hmm.
me being hype on the release. So I have to
Yeah.
rewatch it. But I really enjoyed two, but three, I had a lot of fun, and like I mean, like it goes without saying, like they upped the ante, and like there's way more action, there's way more special effects. The CGI was phenomenal,
Yeah, it's on point.
Like the CGI
Yeah.
was like better than
Movies.
yeah,
Just
no,
regular movies, yeah.
it was astonishing because I'm so used to, I mean, like when you're on TV no matter what, sometimes like most 99% of the time, no matter what you do for CGI, you're gonna know it's TV CGI. Like that's
Hmm.
just how it goes. But in this one, I mean, they just were on point. Like everything was just so like almost flawless. Like I want to say flawless for most like 99% of the scenes.
For what it
Um,
is, especially
for what it
being
is.
Netflix, like it's flawless, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like see, like when I was talking to my buddies about it, my buddy that said like, "Oh nah, season two is like my favorite." I tried to like, I really don't remember season two, even though like I remember season one, like it's kind of like yesterday. But like, yeah, you do prove a point. Like, I don't know if you like liked it because of the hype and all that stuff, but then
I
I was
also
like,
I'm not to cut you off, but I'm
no,
also
it's fine.
super biased because I love Halloween and I love
Yes,
Ghostbusters. So
yes,
like
yeah.
the atmosphere alone, like which is also like brings a larger discussion about the show and its uses of nostalgia. But like season two, I was so pumped on like Dumb Doors thing. It was Ghostbusters. I was so pumped on like that Halloween atmosphere that like everything they were doing, I was loving it. I was like yes, I want more of this.
Yeah, I just well, okay. This is what they did good. They expanded every season. You know, it was just Hawkins in the first season, like that one town, and then it's like the army in like the next season, and more corporate people, and then the third season's the Russians. So it's
The
global.
Russians.
The Russians. Oh, I don't even want to say it. I was gonna say some spoiler, but yeah, no, it's global now. You know, but I do for next season. I do want like a new villain. Like I don't want the Mind Flayer to come back because I'm like, all right, let's just up the ante and like what are we gonna do besides the Russians? Like, are we gonna stay? Are we gonna stay? Keep it in Hawkins? Are we gonna bring back the enhanced individuals like Elle's sister? You know what I mean? Like her
I'm
sister that
so
has
torn.
powers.
I'm so torn because like I
It might take you out of the property if they bring him
yeah.
back. You know, because that was a flaw of season two. Now that I remember that one
Yeah.
episode,
Yeah,
and that
definitely.
brought nothing. Because
It's
I honestly thought that okay, she introduced her sister from season two, that her sister would come back at the end of the season and then help her fight off the upside down creatures.
and she was like, "Nah, I'm all good."
Yeah, so it's like all right, whatever. Like, where are we gonna
It's
go?
weird. I usually enjoy that type of world building. I usually enjoy that type of continuity, but for some reason, I mean, I know why. It's because the kids sell this show. Like the characters sell this show,
They do.
and like this is like the like honestly, this may be the first time ever like for a franchise that I'm like, no, I don't need more of that lore building. I don't need more of that mythology. Like to release it and like explain more of the different experiments in the comics. You know what I'm saying? Like explore it in like a video game, but like
Hmm.
the show is for the kids. Like I watch it for the characters. They have such strong characters. Not to say that the sister was a strong character, but just like her whole. I mean, honestly, she wasn't like her whole ensemble, her whole group. It just felt like so it stuck out like a sore thumb. And I mean, like I don't care about the experimentation. Like I want to see like the kids dealing with this stuff. I want to see Joyce fixating on a new household item. Like I just I want to see the characters we know and love, especially because the episodes are limited. But I definitely think that I am because like we said it runs the risk of getting repetitive. I
Hmm.
think the best solution is a larger episode count for season four, and season four be the ending. I think
Yeah.
like I think a 10 episode season four would be the best way to end the franchise.
Yeah, I could see that because I was gonna reference back and say this show doesn't suffer from Defenders syndrome. You know what I mean?
Right.
With like them being like 12 episodes and it's like a little too like Luke Cage season 1 was amazing, but it was a little too long for its own means. Um, but yeah, I'm cool. Like I agree with that. I think 4 seasons the cherry on top, and a lot if it's going to be the last 10 episodes would be perfect. Like that's not too much. Like another 2 hours. Like okay, that'll work. I think when you say about season 2, like with the enhanced people, we just want to focus on the upside down.
Right,
That's
right,
the main
exactly.
plot. That's the main
Exactly.
plot point. But that's the thing. They can. This is not really spoilerish, but like in my opinion, it's not spoilerish. But like we need to learn why we keep going back to the upside down. Like what's the drive of the government? Like is there a valuable resource that we can use in our world? Because like they we just keep coming back to it. You
Yeah.
know, there has to be a reason for it. Is it like some mining material, or is it there's like some? I don't know. It's just is there something like what's the mission besides studying things? Because I feel like they've known for so long like what the place offers. I don't know.
I,
I'm just
it
you go ahead.
it's just funny that you say that because I was talking to my coworker today and he said the same exact thing, and I'm actually on the opposite side that like
Hmm.
I want the upside down explored more, but I actually don't need to know the government's reasoning. Like for me, I'm satisfied with the idea that the first like I'm satisfied with the idea that like the first two seasons are straight up like this the same thing as Jurassic Park, where it's like you're so concerned about if you can do it, you're not concerned about if you
Why?
should
Yeah.
why and I feel like I felt like the first two seasons I feel like the first season was like evil scientists they found an alternate reality, they want to see what's on the other side.
Hmm.
Second season they're like, okay, we saw what's on the other side, now we got to figure out what to do, like literally they're figuring out like what do we do with it. And then I felt like this one it's not really a spoiler. I felt like it's the idea of like the space race, like why did we I felt like this season especially was straight up like literally why do we race to the moon, like
Hmm.
if you believe in that, like which I do, but
Yeah,
you know
yeah. That's
but
another
I
episode.
yeah but why do we want to go to the moon? Well, I mean, to be honest, like does anyone even know? Like I feel like we just wanted to do it to be the first ones, and I feel like that's
Hmm.
kind of like what this season was like straight up like, okay, Russians are like, we want to see what's the Americans know what's on the other side, we want to see what's on the other side. Is there power, is there power there? Let's find out if we can steal something from it.
That's a good analogy. This it is a space race, and I completely agree on it. Um, I do want to add, but like it's an '80s movie when you have the Russians as your villain.
Oh,
The
absolutely,
Cold War
absolutely,
reference.
absolutely,
Like it's,
absolutely.
but I love it though, and you see your coworker and I, yeah, we have the same mindset. But now that you're bringing it up, I'm like half and half because you say you don't want to know, and that's the beauty of like an '80s '90s property. It wouldn't be an homage to '80s properties because you don't have to explain everything.
Like
You know
shit
what I
just
mean?
happens. Like
Yeah, no, shit just happens, but but in this case, it would work. You know what I mean? As compared to Venom, the movie, if no one saw it, Venom's a little too plot holy. There's a lot of shit that's not explained.
it's
It doesn't
very
work.
probably.
But it's like, but listen, but Stranger Things is aware, and it's in '80s. It's in the '80s, and it's very nostalgic. But they do it in a tasteful way. So it's like if they did it, if they wrote the next season like that, where they didn't have to explain it, but you kept it simple and tight, they could get away with it. But like that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, but the reason why I want them to explain a little bit is just to like keep it fresh.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
I completely understand. Like,
Yeah.
I completely understand.
To keep it fresh, but like if they don't do it, okay, that's cool. You don't do it, but give me a
Just
new
just find
monster.
another way to make it fresh.
Yeah, and give me a new monster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like if they're gonna do it, like I don't know, like make half the season in the Upside Down. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That'd be cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Because listen, think about
Yes.
it. We didn't even go to the Upside Down this season.
Yep,
It came to us because it
Yep.
was left out.
yep.
But you know what threw me off? Oh, fuck it. I'll say that for spoilers. But like,
I think we
Yeah.
might as well go into spoilers.
yeah, let's just go into spoilers so I don't forget. Guys, we're starting spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Steve Harrington dies. I'm joking. I lost
Yeah,
that
I was
bet.
the whole season. I'm like, don't touch my baby, don't touch my baby.
Yeah,
don't
I
touch my
know.
Oh, he made it.
You're probably like Gomez. Don't you dare.
The whole time.
Yeah. No. God, what was I gonna say? Oh no, but I would love them to have half the season in the Upside Down because we didn't go there once, and I thought the third season to defeat the Mind Flayer, I thought you would have to physically put him through the hole to put him
I'm just imagining just like trying
like
to
trying to
stuff it
shove
back
him in. Yeah, like stay on your side, like because he never left. He left Will's body, and he kind of just went to that steel place and chilled. But it's like, okay, at the end they just had to close it up. I call it a wall vagina.
I mean, that's
they just
what it
had-
is.
That's it. They had to close it up, and I'm just like, okay, I guess that's it. But whatever, I'll accept it. I thought that was kind of stupid, but I was like, okay, never mind. Like you just had to close it the whole time.
Well, I was a little confused. Like, I'm not gonna lie. That's actually one of my few gripes about the season. They were very unclear about whether the Mind Flayer like left, right? So like they made a point to keep saying, what if he never left? What if he never left? But then they also kind of made a point to make it seem like it was closed,
yeah.
but the Russians reopened it
Mhm.
because like Alexei said, it was the wound was so fresh, like it hadn't fully healed, and we reopened it. And like in the first episode, you see the Mind Flayer's tentacles crawl out of the hole. So like I'm confused. I'm not confused, but like I'm trying to like, is it straight up that it never left, and like it's just like it never left, like the piece that left, or is it that the part that was in Will never left, and so that small piece stayed here, and that acted as a tether to keep it partially here, so that when the rift
Yeah.
reopened, it had enough of it on this end to be able to pull itself back out.
That's it. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So I was
Yeah, I
thinking.
think that's
I
it.
thought of it like this: it's been out of Will, and like a little segment is in his neck. Yeah, and it's in dormant state, but it's kind of like a cell connection. So like the gate is the antenna, and it's like shut down when it's closed. But when it's open and the Mind Flayer gets that connection, it's like, okay, I'm back out. You know what I mean? Like I think it
Yeah.
was here, but it just can't do anything without any reception. It needs to be in contact with its own universe and have an opening. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
But yeah, I can understand. There was like a couple things, yeah, I was kind of confused too. But like that was one of them, and like I said, I really thought that they had to physically put the Mind Flayer through the hole because I was like, all right, so if they open it up again somewhere else, like even if it wasn't Hawkins, and would that Mind Flayer's body just like show up in the mall again, like his spirit just like linger in the mall and just try to find a new host? You know what I mean? Like, would it just
Yeah, I
pick
know
up
what you-
where
yeah.
it is?
Yeah.
But that's what I was thinking. Like, maybe it needs the connection to the Upside Down to like for it to become undormant. But yeah,
I want season 4 to be like, I feel like the perfect way to set up the thing that we want is for season 4 to be like, okay, because it also would retroactively explain the last few seasons, right? I feel like season 4 should be like, so it turns out we've been doing it wrong. We are supposed to close it on the other side, not this side.
that'd be cool.
And so then that explains why seasons 2 and 3 are both the same thing, right? Like, because seasons 2 and 3 are the same thing. Mind Flayer's outside, we gotta close the gate. So 4 could be different in the sense it's like, okay, we messed up. We're closing it the wrong way. We got to go on the other side to close it, and then that way it's different, but then also we get what we just said. You get a couple of episodes where they're on the other side trying to deal with that, and then that way you could explore like what the upside down is. Like it could, because they're definitely setting it up to be like either like the negative zone or like the version of the world after like humans destroyed it with nuclear radiation. Like it just, there seems to be more behind it. And even if I don't need to know why the government wanted it, you could still have them go on the other side and start like learning a little bit like, oh wait, this looks like our world, but like stuck in this time zone or something. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like
Yeah.
that'd be really cool if they were like, oh, we have to close on the other side, let's go to the other side, and then like a couple episodes take place there.
Yeah, I'm honestly still like up for them having half a season in the Upside Down because I feel like now that we haven't touched it this season, it's like all right, let's just go balls out. Let's
And that's
have
why we need 10 episodes.
yeah, like let's have okay. They're gonna have the budget. Like it's just
Absolutely.
it's still good on Rotten Tomatoes. But
Absolutely.
like let's come if we're not gonna get a new villain, let's at least take a trip to the Upside Down and have like a full ecosystem of like creatures, like
Yeah.
the Demigorgon, the Demi Dogs, the Mind Flare in its like prime position. You know what I mean? Because in season one we didn't really see, or even season two. I don't even remember if we were in the Upside Down season two, but like season one, we obviously didn't see a lot. We didn't see it. We it made it sound like there was one Demigorgon. You know what I mean? Like that's
Oh,
how they
definitely.
made it.
Yeah,
So they
season one,
didn't
yeah.
make it. They didn't make it like it was like a full out environment where these things were thriving with different types of creatures and stuff. They only showed like props of like eggs and stuff, like nothing like an actual animal. But yeah, I think four is the cherry on top. Like just to reiterate, and I don't think Copper's dead. If we're gonna
I
hop
don't think
that
so at
way,
all.
yeah,
I don't think so at all.
but it kind
They
of kills
definitely.
it kind of kills the stakes though. You know what I mean? Like that's the emotional part with the letter. It kind of kills it if he's alive, but I mean, whatever.
I
People get
mean,
over it.
yeah. So here's the thing, right? Like two things. One, or I'll go a little bit out of order. So one, I think I don't. I mean, I can see how like anytime a death like a on screen, like a TV screen death happens and it's written out. I can see how that can, just for some people, that cheapens it, but I definitely feel like they wrote it in such a way they definitely wrote it in a way that they could undo it, or rather they can establish that he was never dead and it wouldn't really be a cop out. Like they definitely set things up so that they could reveal later on that he didn't actually die. And I feel like, I mean, like Elle thinks, I mean, like if we're believing that he's alive, like Elle totally thinks he's dead, and like he did like do so much for her that like those, and like she did focus on herself and she really was maturing, and he lost his daughter once, so he lost his first daughter. So I mean, I do get like that it would maybe like make it not as powerful, but I just feel like in the context of the ending, like I feel like if we took it at what it was, and it's like the context of the ending and the context of her having to move because he's not there and him not being there to help her mature, like that's a huge thing for her. Like she's been through so much already. Um, and then secondly, there's like a couple of super key points that really point to him still being alive. I think one of the like the first one that comes to mind
Hmm.
is when Joyce turns the keys. She looks away and the screen turns black for like 6 seconds, which is way
Yeah.
longer. It's way longer than a normal transition. So that
Hmm.
means that was an intentional transition, it was intentional that we could not see what was going on. It was like we were being blindfolded. We were looking away with Joyce, so we were. It's almost like an unreliable narrator in that we have no idea what's going on in those 6 seconds.
That's true.
Secondly, the fact that there was no ash, no
Yup.
goop, no
Yup.
nothing where he was at. It,
Cinema rules, baby. Cinema
yep, no
rules.
body, no,
Yup.
no body,
No
no
nothing.
death.
No
And on
death.
top of that, you would say, okay, fine, maybe no body, but like if he was disintegrated. But as a storyteller, as a writer, as someone who does that type of thing, you have to give something to convey the fact that they're really gone. So like if they wanted to show that he was dead, even if they didn't want to have the goop or the ashes as like because it would be morbid, they would have like the perfect thing. She would have walked over and she would have saw his badge. Like his badge would have made it, and she would
His
have picked it up.
outfit. Yeah, his
Right.
outfit
Like
would have
she
been
would have
there.
picked, she would have, and she would have, like, she would have picked up the badge. It would have reflected, and then she would have broke down because it's like, oh, he's really gone. But there's nothing there. So those are like my two main points that I feel like just like from a storytelling perspective, like straight up point to him being alive. And then there's also the smaller stuff. So like the fact that the after credit scene has like not the Russian, like that's
The American.
obvious. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, not the American. Like that definitely said, they definitely put that breadcrumb there, so you could be like, so who is the American? And like we only know, there only really know two Americans that it could be, which is Hopper or the doctor from the first, Dr. Brenner, Papa from the first season. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then secondly, the fact that when you rewatch the scene after she turns the keys and it zooms out, he's no longer next to like the scene. Either they goofed up and they didn't insert him CGI wise, like next to the machine, or they intentionally made it so that like he's not there. Like if you rewatch
Hmm.
it, he's next to it right before she turns the keys, and after she turns the keys before it explodes for the split second, he's not next to the machine. Um,
Yeah.
then there's also the fact that like the song they played when like he dies is the same song they played when they found the fake dead Will body, which is like Heroes or whatever.
Ah,
Like
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah. That's so true. Oh my God,
yeah.
yeah.
So like all
That's
those things
true.
that like I
Yeah.
it feels like they're definitely setting it up so it's like okay, like it's not they killed them and they cop out. It's like they straight up like put it so that and this was the other big one. Elle conveniently loses her powers the moment that you think he's dead, so that she, like storytelling wise,
Yeah.
she can't look him up. Like she can't look him up in the phone book. She can't go
Yeah.
into the black space to find him. So
Hmm.
like of course she's gonna think he's dead because she can't rely on her powers to look out to
Yeah.
search for him.
I completely forgot about that. Her powers being gone. Like
Yeah.
I think like half maybe next season. Like
I
I
hope it's
just
a bulk of it she doesn't have it because she's always
yeah.
been
I was gonna say
she's
that.
always been the cop out. She's always been like the Deus Ex in Machina, you know. So like
Yeah.
with her not having her powers, everyone has to step it up because like shit.
Yeah, like you're not gonna have that big gun, so like maybe like the last two episodes or three, she has it back. You know what I mean? But yeah, when I rewatched it, like when Murray and Joyce were running out, the Russians straight were right behind them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I feel like they're gonna cut to a scene in the next season where they find Hopper and they're like, "Fuck this American," because he like ruined everything. Like, let's
you're
take
coming
him.
with us.
Yeah, but like I'm kind of curious of like what's the what like okay, so what's the how big is Stranger Things 4 gonna be? You know what I mean? Is it gonna be Hawkins? Like, how's he gonna leave Russia? Like, I'm kind of curious of like, is this fully gonna? Okay, Stranger Things 3 had the Russians, but it wasn't on a global scale. You know what
It
I
was
mean?
Russians and
In
Hawkins.
Hawkins, yes. And so I'm like, are we gonna start hitting international level? Which I think is very ambitious, but like, people do want new stuff, but like, is it too much? Like, are they biting more than they can chew? Um, I don't know.
I don't want it to be like the Russian. I don't need that. I don't.
Yeah.
They can find other ways to make it bigger. I don't feel like
Like, let's
if
focus on
it,
the upside down. You know what I mean? Like, let's focus on the upside down
yes.
because I think it's
If
only
anything, just an
been
episode of them like
yeah,
in trying to rescue him from the Russian prison or something.
yeah. Especially, but like you no, you brought up a good fact that like Elle can't use her powers to even track him, which is very true, and that kind of like blew past my mind. But like I was thinking, like, why the fuck, like, why do the people from Hawkins not move out, and like how do the people still don't know anything? You know what I mean?
Especially like this season, especially like just
So many people.
from a practicality standpoint, it's like like that. So first of all, I like that season three. I like that people on Reddit call it the meat flayer. Like I said, the mind flayer. This
Yeah.
season, it's the meat flayer. The meat flayer in this season, when it's attacking the Starcourt Mall, it has to have like 100 bodies like gooped up inside of it. So that means like 100 people disappeared from
Went missing.
Hawkins. Like
Full families too.
yeah, well there was a stray kid like Adams. He was like Adam, you're gonna miss the fireworks. Like that was a stray
Yes.
kid that
Yeah, that was a
disappeared.
kid. Yeah.
So like people are gonna be like, what the hell? And you kind of get that notion with the at the end when you see the little like news clip like like hell in the heartland. Like people are starting to be like, yo, this town is freaky. But there like there's next season there should be some serious like okay, people are moving out because this place is creepy.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool. Like an after effect where it's like an empty, desolate town and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's kind of like let's get the bullshit out of the way and like let's focus on like the kids and like the army and like whatever. Because I don't even know where the U.S. Army stands on this, even though they made an appearance. What's his name? Dr. Owens,
Yeah.
who's called by Paul Reiser. Like he was in. It was good to see him because the Americans were the cavalry and like they saved the day. But yet again, they were the ones that did the experiments in the first place. So it's like, where do we go from here? They know the Russians are onto them, and then like, what was the thing that was powering the machine? You know what
Yeah,
I
that
mean?
green goop.
the green goop was never really explained. It
The
was kind of just
TMNT ooze.
yeah, it's pretty much yeah, it's pretty much just like acid. Like I just you know what I thought of? I thought of aliens the whole time. Like it was like a face hugger, the meat flare, the meat flare or whatever, and it was just like attacking your mouth, and it was just like. But the other
Yeah,
thing, like
yeah,
when
yeah,
the
yeah.
bodies were morphing, I'm like, how could you miss this giant thing coming to like to the mall? You know, like passing neighborhoods and like
I do appreciate that they I do appreciate that like they at least like you do have to suspend your disbelief, but they didn't
yeah,
make it. You don't
too
have to do it
crazy.
too much because like
Yeah.
they did set it up so like there's a giant fair that it seems like everyone at town is at like so like
Mm.
there's a reason why people's our eyes are diverted. Like I appreciate that they did do that so that there's there's some reasoning as to why this stuff is going on and nobody's seeing it.
Yeah, and it's just like you know, obviously the body's left there, so I'm like that thing didn't melt away. You know what I mean with the mind flare, it didn't melt away. It was just like a full dead body there.
Well, you figured
And
the army got there, so
yeah, no,
they did the
they cleaned
cleanup.
that up. And then I'm like thinking like, why would you know Joyce and Will and Jonathan move out? And I'm like, okay, so how are they gonna come back? You know, like what unites them that like
Yeah, I
oh
was
we have to
pretty
come
confused
back.
about her moving.
Yeah, well, I mean, for like
I mean, I get
obvious
why,
reasons.
but
Yeah, you get it, but you're like, okay, for the point of like
storytelling.
our storytelling, like how are they all going to unite? What's the time jump? And yeah, they have L now, so it's like, I mean,
I did like that they did that because I felt like it made like first of all it makes sense because Joyce is the only person in like the only adult in Hawkins that
who would
knows
understand her. Yeah,
like L, and then secondly it also makes it nice because now it's not just like the Byers family leaving, it's the Byers and L, so it has a more profound effect on the group as a whole. Like not that of course it would break up, it would tear up the group if they left, but like in making L go with them, you're effectively splitting the group in half.
yeah, it is. And plus, like, I don't know. I like is the government still watching her and stuff? Like, even though she's like
That's an interesting note. Yeah,
like
I
having
wonder
a,
about
she's
that.
having a life, but she still went to the mall. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Dr. Owens was always like, you got to keep her low. Um, I don't know. It's just it was satisfying where it could end just there in all like my honest opinion. But like obviously we got to see what happened to Hopper because I guarantee you he's alive. But I do like want to say the great additions are even though they're all new, but like they were new and they were great for the cast. They like improved the cast, which is Robin and Lucas's sister, and
You
I thought they were
dingus.
great. Yeah, no, I love Robin, man.
Yeah,
And
Robin is so
when
great.
she admitted that she was lesbian, I was like, bravo. Like
Like that,
this
like
is how you
said.
do writing. This is how
Yep.
you do writing. I message you. I'm like, see
This
how
is how
they
you do
do it.
diversity.
Yeah, this is how you do diversity without feeling forced. Like you could have written Robin as a guy and still be a great character. You know what I mean? Like it's just have good character points and do it naturally. And the ways how she like, you know, it sucks for Steve because you know Steve ain't getting any soon. But like,
That's what happens when you're a single parent, my guy.
I know, yeah, and he's like he has all child friends. So it's like, I don't know. It's just Robin did it so well, and I think she was top probably. I love all the kids, but like if I had to like, I think she's like my favorite of this season because she's a new character. And then Lucas, his sister, who has been in the show for a while, is not new, had her chance to shine. And I'm like, great, that's like more diversity right there. It just felt right, and she's a genius, and she's low key a nerd. She doesn't even know it, and she has the game
They did a fantastic job with her because I remember
so good.
last season when they announced that she was gonna have a bigger role in 3, I was like, ugh, I don't know. She's kind
Yeah.
of annoying in season 2,
Mhm.
and then in this season this season she started out annoying as shit with like the
Oh,
free samples,
God.
like all sassy,
Yes, yep.
and then they just like they humanized her character. They revealed that she was like secretly a nerd, and like
Yep.
she, as the story went on, she toned down and she was more willing to help out, and but she still has some of her sass. Like they did such a good job in like making her character balanced. Um, yeah, I agree.
And, you know, she's great. And
How about my
yo,
boy Alexi?
yo,
The whole
rest in,
Reddit.
rest in peace, Smirnoff. Like for real. Yeah, Lexi just wanted to live his best life. You know what I mean? He just
It's
got
not rigged.
yeah, it's not rigged. And
Can I
then
watch Looney Tunes?
and then obviously the Terminator reference. and
Seconds
just-
before tragedy.
Yeah, dude, that guy's a good Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's all I got.
Yo, legit.
He
Hey, they
has
should
the
have cast
hair.
him in a new Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a different conversation, but yeah, no, I liked it because like, okay, this is what I think Stranger Things is. I think it's Aliens. I think it's Poltergeist. I think it's The Goonies. Sandlot, and now I'm gonna add Terminator. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
that's what it is altogether,
yeah.
and it did so in a right way. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel forced, especially with the nostalgia. It's not in your face. It's just like a hint. You know, I just can't describe it because a lot of these movies nowadays, like I'm not saying this is a bad movie, but Ready Player One's like in your face with all that
Oh my God,
stuff.
like
You know what I
like
mean? With that,
references,
yeah. But
Easter
it's
eggs,
still a good movie. But it's like, hey,
shoved
remember
down your
Take on
throat.
Me? Remember Take on Me by Aha? I'm like, I'm not an idiot. But the thing I like about Stranger Things is like it's original music, and like the synths are on fire. Like the music
Dude, I
guys
love
are on
synth. I
fire.
love
I
synth
love
music.
it. Synthwave, anything like that is fire.
Vaporwave, so good.
And
The vaporwave aesthetic of Starcourt Mall was like, yes.
yes, dude, I was like curious. I'm like, how much did they spend on this budget for that mall? Like that's pretty
It
accurate.
was, yeah, dude, it was
And I'm not even
crazy.
from the '80s, and I'm like, okay, I can like see that the Gap and like the Coke, like all the like old stuff. The Never Ending Story song was so funny. Like,
I loved it. I saw a couple people on Reddit who were mad, and I was like,
why?
but like, why? The show does such a good job of focusing so much on the story, giving us so much developments, and like they wanted to take a second to be like, yeah, these are kids, like, and they're like dealing with some crazy shit, and like also like they even still had it make sense. Like this is a girl who has no idea what's going on. She has no idea that this is actually the end of the world, and she's talking to her boyfriend, and she wants, their little like inside joke. Like I thought my mom loved this because when she was a kid, she loved the Neverending
She
Story.
would, yeah,
She
yeah,
loved
she
it.
would
She was
vibe
like,
out with it.
yeah, yeah.
And MVP Susie, Planck's constant. That's all I gotta
Yeah, yeah,
say.
because Murray was like, I thought I knew it, but it turns out I didn't. I'm like, Murray, dude, you couldn't like you
Yeah,
couldn't check that before you went down.
like where's your fucking calculator, man? Like plug that in. Uh,
Seriously, I was like, Murray, you're killing me here, buddy.
but that was a perfect opportunity because I had a gut feeling that we would meet Susie. I'm like,
Oh,
all right,
definitely, definitely.
they're probably gonna throw her at the end for some
Yep,
reason.
that's exactly what I thought.
But like, okay, back to the Reddit thing. Like, it's people from Reddit. They're gonna bitch about something. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely, absolutely.
Um,
Especially when like as a whole, the whole Reddit is positive. That it's almost like they have to find something.
they have to find something. Yeah, and I thought it was great because it took you out of the situation, but it shows how much those kids trust their friend. You know what I mean? And it was
Yeah,
great because Hopper and Joyce were the most priceless reactions. Like Joyce was banging her head against the wall while Hopper was just like staring out, like what is going on? Called him Susie Poo and stuff or Dust Bunny. Like it, it was just so funny. It was like it was like good humor, like the whole season, in my opinion. I thought it had better. All right, as much as like Far From Home had good humor, there were some jokes that didn't like pass for me. I was like, okay, oh, that was supposed to be a joke, like you know what I mean. But like
yeah.
this season just felt natural, and I love it because
It helps that their chemistry is so like all you can tell the
it's on
cast loves
point.
each other.
But like it helps because they're kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah, yeah,
immature. They're like those are how kids
yeah.
really are when the parents aren't around. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you mess around, do stupid stuff, say this wrong things. Um, I don't know. It was just so good. It just felt so fulfilling that like it got my mind off of like Game of Thrones for once. Like
Oh, that
legit.
must have been such a refreshing feeling.
Yeah, it got my mind off Game of Thrones, and it was I didn't really think about it till my brother said he's like, yeah, it made me forget about Game of Thrones, and I'm like, kind of like, I can move on. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like it did get my mind off Game of Thrones, and I don't know what we have to wait another 2 years for this season to come out.
I think
Um,
I think we will, but I'm hoping that like because one of the main reasons that the gap between 2 and 3 was larger was because they had to write the scripts. Like that's one of the biggest things. So I'm hoping that like when they were writing 3, it was kind of like an Infinity War end game situation where like they were like, yeah, we know we want to end this, so let's kind of set up the ending at the same time as season. Like let's set up the writing for 4
yeah,
as we do 3, so that we
yeah.
can kind of just because also the kids are growing up so fast. You gotta get 4 done. You gotta
Well,
get.
well, that's why I'm like, all right, I'm like, take your time, man, because we can do a time jump, and I'm cool with that. But you know, a fun fact to say with Hopper, I know he's alive because David Harbour right now is currently growing out his beard to look scruffy,
I saw that.
and I'm like, he's a prisoner, all right. Like he's really just trying to, he's trying to do the physicality of the role and like look scruffy. So I'm like, he's definitely alive. But like with the post credit scene, I was just like, okay, so the Russians have demigorgons, like they have creatures. So it's like,
Yeah, I actually got to be honest. when they shows another demogorgon, I was like repeating what you said about like not wanting to repeat monsters. I was like, oh, okay, I hope this is just establishing that they somehow have kind of connection to the Upside Down, and like that's gonna move into next season where they like let something out that's even bigger. Like I don't need us to return to the Demogorgon. I mean, it can
Hmm.
show up, but
Yeah.
and I don't want a human. Like I don't need like a human bad guy. Like you said, I want one more big bad from the Upside Down. Like that's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, if they're not gonna do the big bad of the Upside Down, maybe they put all their chips in, like the Demodogs, Demogorgons, and like the Mind Flayer.
Mini meat flayers.
Yeah, meat flayers coming around.
Yeah, I guess I'd be okay with that. But
Yeah, that's what I'm
they need to
saying.
do some more like
They gotta be
varieties. Like,
bold. Yeah, they gotta be bold with this next season because I I can understand why people are complaining because I did kind of like when I think about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is the point where people would feel fatigued if they didn't like it, like because it's not a new creature. Um, I don't know. It's a lot of bright things. I think Billy really had his moment to shine.
oh my gosh, yeah, and him and Max. Like I remember
Max too.
season two. I was like, I'm not feeling this Max girl. Like I didn't mind the actress. I just felt like they didn't do enough with her character in season two. Like I felt like she was kind of
Mm-hmm.
like forced on us. But in season three, she's like naturally a friend with Elle. They naturally
Mm-hmm.
bond. She naturally it kind of like stands up for her. She has that connection to Billy, who's now the bad of the season. Like I just feel like they did a lot more with her. Like her and Billy. Like I was when I was talking to my coworker, I left season two and I was like, ah man, like when Billy came to fight Steve and then like she like Max scared him off with a bat, I was like, is that it for his character? Like I just felt like I was so
Yeah,
unsatisfied. I was like, okay, is that his whole purpose like is that why they introduced him as a character? And then
yeah,
season three, I was like, oh, you were setting him up, and like
yeah,
now it feels much more fulfilling. And like you said, like they like completely redeemed his character. Um, they completely like fleshed him out and just by doing a quick like 2 seconds of like oh flashback here we go
yeah.
he's dealt with
Exactly.
a bunch of trauma.
He's just a
um
broken man,
yeah, he's just a broken man. He was a little racist in season two, but I'm just gonna chalk that up to his dad being racist and just
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
instilling that in him. Um but like yeah, I felt like they did such a good job of like making Billy such an interesting character. Like I legit felt so bad when he like stood up for Elle and like
Yep.
and like that scene was so badass when like he like straight up just like grips it up and he's like no, and he's like getting pushed back and he's like using all his strength, both his hands to fight it back, and then it has like the Doctor Octopus tendrils come out of nowhere and
And
like
just
it
kill him,
gets him in
yeah.
his side. He just keeps getting like attacked. It was so good, man. Oh, the
And then,
season. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, damn, that was a good season.
well, that's the thing. They optimized all their characters to the max. Like, even
Except
if
Jonathan. They gave Jonathan like
no,
nothing
yeah,
to.
Jonathan was in the background, yeah.
But even then,
Um,
he did get his moment of like trying to cut open her leg,
yeah,
and like they even gave her.
Jonathan was more of a physical actor in this
Yeah,
season.
yeah, yeah.
Just like putting damage using the axe in the cabin.
They gave Will a break. They gave Will a break, and he wasn't like getting tortured. And so like this whole season, he's either saying, "Can we play D&D?" or "Oh, my neck hurts. He's
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. He had to scratch the pimple on his back, and he's just
He's
like,
back."
yeah, he's back. Yeah, but it's like Steve Harrington, like
So
him and
great.
Robin were so great, and like you said, he won a fight.
Finally,
I
and I
honestly
love that they
thought of
referenced
you.
it.
Yeah,
I love that Dustin was like, I love when he was like, Dustin was like, "Have you ever won a fight?" And he's like, It was just last." He's like, "No." Also, he didn't say
yeah,
first season, but he's like, No." Before that it was Jonathan, and then he beats him, and he's like, "You did it! You finally won!" And like everyone who's watching
yeah.
the show is like, "He did it! He finally won!"
Dude, I instantly thought of you. I'm like, is Dustin fucking Deadpool right now? Is he breaking the fourth
He
wall? I'm
totally
like,
was. He totally was.
I was just like, God damn. And then yeah, he knocked the Russian guy. I'm like, all right, that one Russian soldier compared to like Jonathan and Billy, like that's a win. Um, just like I don't know, just like them mixing up the group dynamics is just great. And even though it's like Dustin and Steve again, but it's like also
But they're so great
Robin.
together.
Yeah, they're still great together. And like the development of Joyce and Hopper and Murray was so funny, dude. He's like, why don't you guys just rip your clothes off and have sex with each other?
Yeah,
Like
he was great.
so funny. And like he did the same shit in season 2 with Jonathan and
Jonathan,
Nancy.
this guy
Yeah,
needs to be a marriage counselor or something, man. He's great at
for real.
relieving sexual tension.
He's so funny. He's like,
They're
even for the
dissecting
short
it.
amount of time he's in, like he's like bald eagle, and he's like, I hate kids. Like he's just so funny. And Nancy's mom killing it, still looking good. But I do want to bring back because you said with Billy season 2, when they dropped the clip of him being a lifeguard, I was like, okay, what's the point of that? But then I was like, okay, it makes sense because he's going to be a focus. You know what I mean? It was like a hint that, oh,
Yeah,
Billy's
yeah.
going to be a vocal point for season 3. And I feel bad for Joyce because she ain't getting no poon soon.
Dude, I know Bob. She just
Yeah,
anybody she's interested in immediately gets.
just decimated somehow. I don't know. I just like I'm kind of curious with season 4 because like I don't know if they're gonna bring back the enhanced, like because in the back of my mind I was thinking like what if 11 finds more of her like siblings and they all just like take over Hawkins and it's like a big battle between.
I feel like that's what they're gonna set up because I feel like they're setting up season 4 to be a return to season 1.
Yeah,
It's one of those like I remember like if you ever watch Scream 1, 2, and 3, like Scream. It's Scream 1, then Scream 2, which is slightly similar but
and
tries to
then
do its own
for
thing. And then
yeah,
Scream 3, Jamie Kennedy is like, "Oh, the third one is always where you go back and you revisit like something from the original one and like you put a spin on it." So like, I feel
yeah,
like they kind of like are doing something. I feel like they're going to do something like that and not for season 3 but season 4 and
yeah.
revisit the demo like they already showed us the Demogorgon. They already set up in season 2 that Brenner might still be alive. So I can see season 4 being like, okay, now we're gonna go back to like the research facility, the enhanced humans, the
Hmm.
Demogorgon, and we're gonna follow that up and make it bigger and give you a conclusion to that.
That'd
Which
be
I mean,
badass.
it'd be badass. I just hope it's not too much of a focal point because, like you said, I want more about the Upside Down and I want more about the kids.
Yeah,
So you have
and
to
plus
make sure they
that,
do it in a smart way.
and plus it's not Stranger Things. You know what I mean? If it was like an all-out battle, that's not Stranger
It's
Things.
like X-Men.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be X-Men. But yeah, the way Stranger Things is, it's like it's a ragtag group of kids like trying to go against something. Like it's an adventure. It's not like an all-out battle. But I do hope for. I really like now that I said it, like I really do hope they spend like at least like maybe at max half a season in the Upside Down just to understand it and like wrap it up. Because I was when you just said 4 or 5 seasons they wanted to do, and then after watching 3, I was like, I don't know if five's too much, but
Yeah, I love the show and I love looking forward to it, but like you said, we run the risk of it getting too repetitive. And
mhm.
also like and this is more of a this is more of like a selfish reason, but every season I'm terrified of characters I love dying. So I'm like I'm okay with it ending at 4 with like people safe. Like I don't because like it'll bum me out if we
It's
keep
not
losing
gonna.
characters.
Yeah, no, well, because okay, even though I said Steve, I thought he would die. I still have him and one of the kids going out the last season
I
for
mean,
some reason.
I don't want another kid. That's I would be
I know.
so
If
bummed. I
he's
would be
okay, because like this is all right. I was either thinking Steve, but I honestly thought Will would be one of the kids. If they had to kill off a kid, it would end with him as it began with him. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, but
But like,
if the Duffer Brothers are listening, don't do that.
yeah, they're gonna message me. I'm like, wow, that's genius. That would be so Shakespearean. I'm like, yeah, it begins with Will, and it's gonna end with him. So it's like, that's just my opinion. If they were to be ballsy, and if it was the last season, which I hope it should be, because let's preserve what we have and like how it's already a phenomenon. Like you just don't milk it for what it is, but you never know Hollywood. But I do think that Will should be the kid to go out if it were to go out, or Steve if because somewhat there has to be stakes. You know what I mean? Now that Hopper, I'm just gonna assume that Hopper's alive. Okay, like that stakes is gone. You know what I mean? That kind of like the reading the letter now. I'm like, all right, it's emotional as hell, but I'm just like, all right, he's alive. You know, if it were to go 5 seasons, maybe have a season without Hopper and then have the fifth season with him to
Right,
return.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
To fill in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
gap so it doesn't feel too
right,
fresh.
right.
But yet again, you would run the risk of like not having a good season.
Right, because
And then
he's been integral to every season. Like he's, I mean, like the kids are don't get me like the kids are amazing and they could carry the show, but there's
yeah.
something to be said about like Hopper has always been like, all right, if you don't like kids, here's an adult doing crazy like solving crimes and kicking ass. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
always been a draw. So you do run the risk of that. I'm fine with like season 4 being like super high stakes in that like every episode you're terrified of losing a character, but then at the end they make it out okay. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
But that's the
I,
thing. I think like, we're due for a death because this is kind of a cop out at this point, and I don't think the internet's dumb. I mean, you say Reddit, like people are already theorizing. Because at first I didn't really it didn't really hit me that I thought like Hopper was alive till not after the post credit scene, but like maybe like the next day to think about it. I was like, because I thought when they said the American, I thought they were introducing a new character, like a new scientist. I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm like, I don't think they would run that risk to get a new character right away and just have the whole season try to like focus on him, if he's that critical.
It just feels like such a weird way to end the after credits. Like the end
Yeah.
credit scene is supposed to be like, oh, what's like end credits are nowadays is meant to be like, wait, what? So like, not the American, and it turns out to be some random guy. You're like, okay, I waited a year to find out who this person is, and it's not somebody I know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But like, would you? Okay, so are you in agreement that like, oh, like we're cool with it just to stay in Hawkins?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they could stay in Hawkins, go in the upside down, bring some more, bring something new to Hawkins. But I don't need to see like. I just feel like Hawkins is a character as much as the kids are, and I don't, like taking it.
It's not like that. It's not like Wakanda. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to think because like what it'd be cool. Like Breaking Bad, the last season it opened up with Heisenberg like coming back to his old house and it's all destroyed.
Yeah, that's
like,
pretty cool.
Like what we said like earlier. Like what if he just came back to fourth season? Hawkins is like barren. That'd be cool. And like Will comes back and like there's some people left, but like it's just like free game for all the citizens to be gone, and that's where it goes. Yeah, you got anything else to say about this season? I'm trying to think, but
It was so good. The music was on point as always. Cinematography was phenomenal.
Yeah. The monster, the CGI, what we mentioned earlier.
CGI was fantastic. Acting was phenomenal. Everybody was like bringing their A game. Like there wasn't like any scene where I was like, oh, this is awkward, or like, oh, this is like poorly acted. Like I was like, yeah, this is I'm down for this. Oh my God, Gary Busey's son, whatever his name is, Jake Busey, the guy who's found the missing condiments Nancy Drew. He was so fucking annoying.
Oh, yeah.
He was so annoying.
Well, it's
but
funny,
I mean that was his purpose. But
like the Duffer Brothers just knew how to optimize every character and their script. Like we even gave a shit about a Russian guy, like a Russian scientist guy.
Dude, we cared
really
so much about Alexei.
Yeah, and they did it through the filmmaking. Like they didn't have to put a whole script for him, And he was one of the first characters we met in this season because they shot the other guy who didn't.
Yeah.
And he said you have a year, and then all of a sudden it happens. But that's the thing. They ended the season well, where we're theorizing, and it's not obvious where it's gonna go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I give this season an 8.5 just to wrap up. Duffer Brothers like stay killing it. I mean, I'm not worried about them because.
I mean, don't stay killing it as in characters, but stay killing it as in doing a great job writing the scripts.
Oh my God, yeah. No, don't listen to him. Start killing
listen
it.
To me.
Killing it. Start killing it.
Nah,
have some stakes.
Listen, you got the Game of Thrones. You got all your characters dying over there.
Yeah, okay, but you can't just be killing new characters. That's all I gotta say. We gotta. And Hopper doesn't count. That's all I gotta say.
Hopper does count.
Nah, he ain't leaving the fucking franchise to go to Hellboy. All right, he ain't going anywhere. David Harbour ain't making money right now. He needs to come back. So.
He's in Black Widow, dog. He's gonna make money. He's gonna be the new.
Oh, he got that Marvel money. Yeah,
he got that Marvel money now, dog.
Yeah, he's gonna be Taskmaster. I'm joking, but I don't know.
Honestly, man, like Marvel's so on point with their casting, and he's so great as Hopper. Screw it. Like I'm sure it'll be amazing.
Yeah, no, I have no doubts in Marvel right now, especially with Homecoming. I mean, God damn, I keep saying Home. Spider-Man has such weird titles. You know what I mean?
So what's the third one going to be? Like
something home. Yeah.
Home Alone. Home
Alone. Yeah.
Homeward Bound.
Yeah. Back at it. Home. I don't know. Like it's weird.
Home.
Like it's been a good week for us, and we took a week off because it's the holiday, but we're back, and it was great to like experience this, especially Spider-Man together, and like now Stranger Things is out
definitely.
Of the way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it was important we did this because this was the hot thing. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
We're in both agreement. Like, yeah, we should like dedicate this just a straight up review because I feel like everyone, especially the internet's blowing up with this type of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Any final words for any of these movies or shows? Yeah, movies, shows. Yeah.
like you said, Duffer Brothers and John Watts and Kevin Feige, you guys just keep doing what you're doing because you're really rocking it. You're really rocking it. You're really kicking out, knocking out the park.
Yeah, and I just want to add, yeah, the Duffer Brothers. I'm not worried about them because one, they're not like tied to another property, after Stranger Things. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, this is their baby, like
yeah,
they
fought
birthed
for
this. They
it.
fought for this to be made.
Yeah, they fought for this to be made, and at least they know it. It means a lot to people, especially with only 3 seasons in. You know what I mean? Like Game of Thrones was popular,
Yeah.
but it didn't pick up till like season 6 or 5 for
Right,
everyone.
where everyone in
catch
the
up.
world was like, I need this.
Everyone. So I'd say season 6, yeah, was the time I started watching. Yeah, season 6. Yeah. But guys, I'm just gonna wrap this episode up. Thank you for tuning in. Episodes usually Monday, but it comes as it goes. But usually you'll get it between Monday and Wednesday. You'll still have time for your week to listen to this at work, at the gym, anywhere really if you want. So remember, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher, and we're also on YouTube. Be sure to find us on Apple Podcasts and rate us. It really does help us out, and we really appreciate it. But any type of feedback, you can message me, and we do have an email at themashup134@gmail.com. Just to repeat that, themashup134@gmail.com. Keanu, thank you for coming in, man. We definitely have more movies to watch together. We'll think about Hobbs and Shaw. I'm not gonna lie, that trailer was badass. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll see you there.
Yeah. I'll just send you a picture of like what seat you at, and then I'll just like cop it.
He'd be like across the theater. I'm over here.
Yeah, I'm like, we're still together, but like we're not. I'll just text you like, yo, do you see him do that move?
We do the podcast right there in the theater.
Yeah. I'll just give you like a portable mic and like, God damn. But guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.